So welcome everyone to another edition of Getting to the Other Side. I am your host, Dr. Eddie Capparucci. It's great to have you all with us here today. And we're talking, I'm actually going to talk about several topics, but the one that I want to start off with is the topic of intentions. The sign of a man that a man is growing and that he is on the pathway to becoming emotionally developed is when their actions are consistent. And I'm not talking about that they're remaining sober, okay, because that should always be a consistent, that factor. What I'm talking about is they take action that demonstrate that they are learning how to become more outwardly focused, that they are learning how to become more emotionally connected and engaged, that they are learning to become more vulnerable with themselves. You're seeing an air of confidence that you haven't seen in quite some time. Those are the things that you could look at and you could say, okay, there's something different about this guy. And something that happened, one of the best ways to deliver a message of growth, okay, is that, they take action. When they are not doing that, okay, when that growth is not taking place, what you're going to get is a man who's continuously referring to his intentions. So an example, the wife asked, so you going to watch that recovery podcast? And the answer is yes, I definitely want to watch it. 2 days later, she circles back. You have not watched the podcast. And the reply is, I intended to watch it this afternoon. Really? Really? Should she believe that? That was your intention after asking you 2 days ago? And now she circles back today and it's like, yes, I intend to watch it this afternoon. Why would she believe a man who has lied and has manipulated her for years, now all of a sudden comes back with the flippant remark of, oh, I intend to do it later? Even if that is your intent, even if you did intend to see it, even if you did plan the moment she said to you 2 days ago, oh yes, today's Monday, I'm gonna watch that Wednesday afternoon. That was your intent, but you never communicate that to her. So what does she think? What should she think? He's not interested. He doesn't care. It's not important to him. But then to come back and say, oh yes, but my intention was that way, about that. It just sends a litany of wrong messages. And we are in a season where we can't be sending erroneous messages to our partner. It is said, you guys have probably all heard the quote that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And but when you think about what did that really mean? Well, it means that your intention could be very good. Could be, yes, I definitely intend to watch that podcast. But if you do not do what you say you're going to do, the impact can be devastating. Why? Well, you know what? You made commitments before and you didn't follow through. This is just another example. So therefore, they look at this behavior, and you can cry and scream all you want that I'm sober, I'm not doing that stuff anymore. But this behavior that's coming up today, you made a commitment, you said you're going to do something, you don't follow through, it's just as bad as if you went and you acted out again. It is in a sense of their fear and their worry and their concern that, oh, he's never really going to get better. You know, when as I said, the impact is devastating. This is a season that is very trying for both of you. And trying may be a very mild word to use. There's no room for assumptions. There's no space for undefined expectation. And certainly is no room or no place for good intentions. Intentions are worthless without actions. When you're asked to do something, take action. Don't put it off. Or if you must put it off, be sure to leave yourself a reminder of the commitment you made. Or even better yet, do what I just said before. Hey, I saw this podcast. I really would like you to watch it. You know what? Great. I would love to watch it. I won't be able to get to it till tomorrow. Put a time on it. Make the commitment, but make the full commitment to it. Not just leave it hang there. Yeah, okay, I'll get to it. Because what's going to happen, most likely, you're going to forget. And then when you forget, the message delivered is, oh, it's not that important to you. And you're thinking to yourself, no, it is important. I just forgot. We can't have that in this season. It's a very delicate season. You know that. So therefore, if you need to say, okay, I'm going to do it. I will do it, but I'll do it tomorrow. Send yourself a reminder. Put it on your phone that you get something that says, hey, let's look at this today. Post-it notes. I got post-it notes everywhere. You want to see post-it notes? They're constantly. That's what I do. That's why I remember. Because I got 1,000 things that are running through. Not 1,000, that's an over-exaggeration. But I have 2 dozen things that need to be done. And post-it notes. Put it up there. Watch the podcast tomorrow. It takes a minute. And it can save so much hurt and disappointment along the way. The word I used a moment ago is a very key word, and that is commitment. Why is that word so important? It's because we really haven't done a very good job in following through on our past commitments. In fact, we've really failed miserably. Now, you guys, as I've been talking to you now, you men, if you're starting to feel shame, in the words of Bob Newhart and the little skit he does about counseling, I'm going to tell you, stop it. All right? This is not shaming you. You should be listening to you say, yeah, you know what? You're right, Eddie. You're right. I failed. I failed on my commitments to the past. Yep, I didn't follow through. I'm going to own it. I'm going to be a man about it. I'm not going to let shame get into the way. But we have to realize that, because unless your promises are as solid as a bar of gold, trust is never going to be reestablished. That is how solid your promises must be made moving forward. Your intentions are inwardly focused. Remember, that's one of the things we're trying to move away from. We want to be outwardly focused. It's your intentions, though, are inwardly focused. I will get to it when I get a chance. I will do it when I'm ready. Your actions, which are outwardly focused, say, this is important to her, so I must commit to making this happen. Big difference, is it not? It's a big difference there. The bottom line is leaning on your intentions and not on your actions delivers the message It's about me. I would hope in this season of recovery that that is not where your head is. More importantly, I hope that's not where your heart is. That your heart has to be outward to say, no, this is not about me. It is about me in a sense that I need to recover, that I need to learn, why this has happened. I have to learn the skills to be able to manage my compulsive disorder. I need to learn how to be more emotionally mature. And that's not just, it's about me. But when it comes to the actions I should be taking to show that I am different, that I am changed, that I am evolving, that I am transforming, that none of that's about me. That's part of the problem that we get into with this. And that's going to lead me to a second subject there about this idea about me. And a client brought this up to me the other day, and I thought it was really good, that there's no days off. And what I mean by that, when we say there's no days off, is, you think about, why do men mess up? Okay, I mean, the fact that, okay, we're in recovery, we're doing well. And again, I'm not talking about the sobriety. I'm talking about becoming emotionally developed, getting rid of those blind spots, learning how to engage, taking your fear, holding on to it, moving it forward. Why do we mess up? Simple. We don't stay focused. We don't stay focused. We get complacent. We start to think, oh, you know what? Everything's pretty good. I'm doing really well. She seems to be happy. Everything's clear. And so therefore, we don't wake up in the morning and start first thing, it's about recovery. It's not about me, it's about recovery. It's about my being a different man, being that transformed man. I have to keep that top of mind, and moving forward with everything that I do. And we're not. I need to stay top of mind when I, go to the store and make sure, again, I'm on a mission. And when I'm on a mission, I'm out there to do what I need to do and not look around. And by the way, I have to clarify something. And I don't know if I did it last time or not, but I'm going to do it again. I had made a comment about, when I go out and I'm on a mission and I say, I keep my head down. What I meant by I keep my head down, if I keep my head down, is that I'm focused on my mission. I don't keep my head down when I'm walking through stores. I've heard that come back a few times from people. I said, no, I don't walk around with my head down when I go to stores. What I do is I walk when I go somewhere. If I go down to Main Street here, I know where I want to go. I know what I need to do. So therefore, I am just on a mission and I am focused. I see people, but those people aren't important to me. And even if they're beautiful, attractive women, they're not important to me. I just keep going on my mission. So just want to clarify that to you, for you folks out there. But the idea again that we mess up because we're not focused. That's when it comes back to what the client said to me was, there's no days off. You get no days off. This is something that has to be top of mind every day. You may have to do several times a day. Hey, what's my mission? What am I doing? What am I trying to accomplish? Have I been engaging? Or am I withdrawing? What's going on here with me today? Looking at the ways that you're drained, and are you drained? We take too many days off. Wake up and we're just like, oh, the day, what I have to do, the things I have to engage in, the activities I have to, be part of. We start thinking more about that, and we don't think about, oh, you know what? What is it about my recovery that I have to keep in mind today? What is it that I'm focusing on, those blind spots? Oh, maybe if I'm trying to be more curious. So I got to make sure today you're going to be curious, ask questions. Maybe it's the mindfulness. Okay, I got to make sure today I'm being more alert. I'm being more aware of what's going on around me. Those are things you have to be telling yourself every morning. And like I said, maybe even throughout the day, so that you are in that state of mind of preparation. Again, there are no days off. So make sure you're taking the time to be able to figure out today, what is the key that I want to accomplish today in my recovery? And it may be, yeah, I got to go, and I don't have to. I want to go and listen to that podcast. That may be one of the things that are there for it. It may be that, when my wife and I were having this, she was grieving, did you weren't correct. And I've learned, what, that's not the time to address it. But you know what, today I have to circle back with her and I have to bring that up and I have to address it with her. Maybe that's something that I need to do. There are no days off. So the last subject I want to talk about, and this is to you ladies out there, or if you're a man who's been betrayed, is that learning to become an emotionally developed man is difficult. And it takes a lot of time, because none of these things are natural to us. We didn't get what we needed to get when we were younger as far as skills, education, guidance, nurturing. Again, we're oblivious. We don't know what we don't know. And it's going to take time for us to learn that. But as you heard me say many, many times, is we're not always going to get it right. He's not always going to do the right thing. He's not going to engage at that moment. It's like the client who told me that they were out with their family, with their kids and their grandchildren, and they were, I think, at an aquarium or something, and they're all hovered around talking, and she turned to look for her husband, and he's over sitting on a bench playing Candy Crush. She went over to him and said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I'm just taking a break and doing it." She goes, "This is the time to engage. We're all here. They're going to go away. They're going to go back home, and you're going to have time that you can have your break." Okay, he blew it. He blew it at that time. He should not have taken that break. Okay, it happens though. And so therefore, we're not going to get it right. And again, I'm not talking about sobriety. I'm talking about being emotionally developed. However, this is the problem I'm seeing quite often. What I'm seeing here, well, let me step back for a moment. The other thing about this is that it's not black and white. When we talk about, okay, I'm emotionally undeveloped and now I'm emotionally developed or emotionally mature. It doesn't just happen like that. There's all this gray in between. And therefore, there's different levels that people will reach, or let's say milestones that people reach after going through that process. And not everybody gets all the way to the other side. I am not all the way to the other side to be fully emotionally developed. I am not there. I've moved quite a bit, as I told you, but I'm not there. And I have yet to see that guy who's gone all the way to that other side. I've seen guys make great strides, tremendous. Had a client this morning who will probably be finishing up soon. It's incredible the work that he has done, the different man that is there. But there's this gray area when it comes to connecting emotionally. So here's the problem that I'm seeing though. I'm seeing that when a man does get something wrong, such as goes and takes a break and starts playing on his phone, that he gets little in the way of grace. And instead, there's a lot of shaming that's involved. Another client of mine, my clients say some of the most profound things, and I love it. Said, Jesus didn't heal people by persecuting them. I'm like, that is perfect. I mean, couldn't say it any better. He didn't heal anybody by persecuting them. And you women you will not do it either. You will not help him by persecuting him. There is no healing that's accomplished by pointing out the unwanted behaviors and delivering a beating. Pointing out the unwanted behavior, absolutely. There's a better way, though. Better way than it's shaming. You're never going to get this right. You've never changed. And then you start to paint everything black. It's like you haven't changed at all. You're still the same. All this other stuff is good. And then there's this problem that happened. And now we throw everything out. We've thrown the baby out with the bathwater. And I understand why. I understand because, again, you're afraid and you're hurt and you're worried. Like, oh my gosh, if you the facade I see, if he trying to deceive me again, I understand. But there's a better way to deal with those situations. Let's look at it. You promised you were going to watch that podcast with me, but it's been a week and you haven't mentioned it at all. And you know what? I can't begin to tell you how disappointed I am in your lack of action. And that what the way you're leaving me feel is that, you know what? You just feel like you can just pick and choose what you would like to do. And what's important to me isn't important to you. That's what it makes me feel. And then you know what? Walk away. Walk away. Now I know there's a few of you who are saying, no, he deserved more. I don't know, not the way Jesus did it. What did he tell the woman after everybody dropped their rock? He said, get up, go, sin no more. There's many examples of that. I know you're not Jesus, I'm not Jesus either. I understand there are emotions that are involved. But I'm telling you this, what I just outlined to you is a much better way than going through the idea and the process of shaming. There's no growth in shaming. And besides, that guy who you're shaming, that guy who you're demeaning, that guy who you're beating up, I mean, you're helping to wilt his confidence. Is that the kind of husband you want? Do you really want a man who has no confidence? Do you want a man who has no backbone? I would think not. So therefore, it's on both sides. I need you guys to realize there's no days off, to be more focused on what you're committing to doing. And I know it's like, well, it's really hard. There's a lot of stuff in my life to do, blah, blah. I don't want to hear it. You know what? You found all the time in the world before to do all that other stuff you did, just like I did. Found all that time. Okay? Weren't complaining about time then. Why are we complaining about time now? There's time. There's time, but more importantly, it's not about time. It's about your word. It's about your commitment to her. That I want her to heal. I want to see the smile on her face again. I want to see her laugh. I want to feel her arms around me. I want to feel like we are in love again. In fact, we're in a state of love that we've never been before. That's where we want to go. And that takes that effort on your part to say, no, you know what? There's no day off. I have to be focused on this emotional development because it takes so long, because there's so many moving pieces and parts that are involved in it. It's not something I can just say, well, I think I'll work on it today, or I won't work on it, tomorrow. No, we have to work on it always. And when we mess up, okay, when you walk away from him after you tell him that, I am so disappointed, can't believe you do that, and she walks away and she does that, and you messed up, you then have to sit there and you have to say to yourself, okay, why did this go wrong? what happened? How come I didn't get it right? Be able to formulate that, and you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. And if you can't figure it out, you call your sponsor and you talk to them. You call your counselor, you talk to him. You know, I get people email me, text me all the time. Hey, made a mistake. This is what it is. I'm trying to figure out what I did wrong. Great. That's what I want to know that they're doing. I want to hear the first answer from them. Then I'll help them. But I want to hear from them first. Where do they think they went wrong? That's growth. And then say, look, I'm sorry I disappointed you. But more importantly, I came to understand why that happened. And this is what it is. And I hope now that I learned from this, and I'm going to take this, I'm going to grow, and I'm going to become more mature as we move forward. So again, I just, I say I'm sorry for that. It takes both sides to make all this work, folks. And I know it's not easy at times trying to get both sides to get it to work, but that's what had to happen. Yamini, that's all I got for you today.
That's a lot, and it's great stuff. And it was funny. Some of the things that you were quoting, I was like, it came to mind. I have Post-it notes everywhere. I love the Bob Newhart. Just stop it. And honestly, if we could,
for you guys, for you people, who don't know what I'm talking about, go Google Bob Newhart in YouTube. And what was it, Saturday Night Live?
Yeah, I think so. It's like a few
counseling.
Minutes, and and his whole thing. Yes, do that. And we wish that was that magically, easy, but it isn't. Calendar reminders, like it's the simplest thing. Your phone, you can tell it. You can say, Siri, set up a calendar. But like doing practical things are so key to this. I find that where I spend my time is my priority. So if it's vegging out, I don't even play Candy Crush, but if it was Candy Crush, whatever that is, that's what I'm showing. That's my action showing my real intention of my priority. If I have made a commitment that I'm going to do something, I will text and say, I'm going to be 5 minutes late for whatever. Right. I mean, like, it's key for me to show up on time, do what I say, say what I mean, right. All of those things, right.
And if you don't do it, why don't you do it? Because I'm not thinking about it. And I should be thinking about it. This becomes a new way. I say this all the time, and it's like I'm trying to beat it into people and our men group on Tuesday night. I think they're really starting to get it. Those 30 guys are starting to get it. This is about a new way of life. It's a new way of living that you've never done before. So all those old habits, they're getting taught. You're throwing out your whole wardrobe and you're replacing it with something brand new. That is what's supposed to be happening here. And that's what it becomes. You know what? I need to be, so mindful of, okay, I'm leaving work today. Oh, I want to stop there. I forgot. But you know what? Let me just send a quick text. Hey, by the way, I'm stopping somewhere. But, that's it. That's all it takes.
Yes. And I was cracking up when you said emotionally developed man. And the first thing I thought of, and this is true with, like all of this is, male or female addict, and I thought that sounds like an oxymoron, no offense, but I was like, but we can learn. And I agree with you. There's no there. We don't just magically arrive, and I've said this a number of times with my recovery, I'm in a different, better place than I was 2 years ago. And 2 years from now, I want to be, I'm still on that journey. Like, I'm never going to magically arrive, and I think when you're talking about like the shaming and all of that, what is the goal? If the goal is to, create a downtrodden person that is full of shame and that, where you're in this toxic soup, keep doing what you're doing. If you're looking for, I think we all deserve to have the best relationships. You talked about, do you want her to have a smile on her face? Do you want to be able to look each other in the eyes and know that there's not, lies and deceit and hidden things? I think we all deserve the very best relationships that we can possibly have. So why would we not strive to do, what we can to improve those things? We aren't going to be 100% successful. So, but we're all human. none of us, none of it, like I love with the 12 steps, I have a way to make amends when I mess up, and I do,
I,
and I quickly engage with that because I don't want to live in the shame, and like I just want things to be as right and on a good footing as I possibly can. So, now I'm pretty quick to recognize when I do. Early on, I needed accountability. I needed help. So like you
mm,
said, it takes time to unlearn and relearn. Our best thinking got us into the hot mess that we've been in. So us thinking that we can figure out how to do it differently, I love that you're talking about. So on the Seeking Integrity, we have work groups, and that is the learning and the connection, so that you can talk about things, and you can
mm,
go, oh, I hadn't thought of that way, and
yeah.
oh, that could be a problem. I wouldn't have known. Of course not. You don't know. So check out the work groups that are on
Yeah, I mean, I wish
Seeking
I could be
Integrity.
presenting that stuff in front of 30,000 men, because
Yes,
again,
I
they
agree.
they are they're just soaking it up and they're doing really well. So anyway, we've got a lot of questions.
We do. So let's start. My husband is doing great in recovery. I love hearing that. He's adhering to and respecting my boundaries, going to ICSA meetings, etc. I am in IC and also attend SA non meetings.
Mhm.
S non meetings, sorry.
Right.
We are doing all the things. My issue is, although we have had a disclosure, I can't help but feel the need for more detail is one of the things I feel I'm holding back, is holding me back. As much as I know it will hurt, I feel I need to know these things, and I'm referring to the dirty details. I, uh, we
Okay.
say this,
All
you
right.
can't unhear those things. So,
Yeah. So you're saying please help, right?
yeah.
Do you really want help? She and I are going to help you. You don't want to know those details. You don't want to know those, because once they get into your head, they never get out. Now you're going to tell me, oh, I'm making up my own detail. I
Mhm.
get it. That's when you need to sit with a therapist, not with the groups. You need to sit with a therapist who specializes in this. And that's what you say. And that you go with this particular goal in mind. Say, look, I don't want to go through everything else. I just want to go help me to get over this idea that I need to know all those details. That is what has to happen. Because I promise you, 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 you do not want to know those. They do not help. They in no way will help you heal faster.
Mhm.
They are not going to make it easier for you. Okay, this is just your brain. This is a place you are stuck and you need to get unstuck. So again, I would find that therapist and again, have them work just on that. You say, I just want to work on this.
100% agree. And if you learned all those details, you would still have more questions.
Oh,
That is the
yeah,
bottomless well. In a toxic way. So
yeah.
okay. The next one is a comment. Eddie, your writing has made such a difference in my life. Your work has answered so many of my questions. I humbly thank you for helping men become emotionally connected to men.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Um, my spouse won't give up the friends he went to strip clubs and massage parlors with. I'm working too hard to regulate. I'm staying for now for financial reasons. What is a way to protect myself
Mm,
emotionally? What would that look like? Oh my gosh, I
yeah,
grabbed my heart. So
I know. It's
I'm so
very,
sorry.
it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to see that here's a guy who, once again, is like, you know what I need and want is more important than what you need and want. It's more important than your safety. And I am my heart bleeds for you, just like Tammy's does for you. How do you, one, you're staying for financial reasons. Okay, fine. I'll try to be working out those financial reasons as much as you can. I'd be looking for out of the box ways of trying to figure out what to do, because this is not a good situation for you to be in long term. How do you protect yourself emotionally? First and foremost, get the hell out of regulating his world. You need to take him and put him over here out of your life right now, because he's not showing that he's caring about your well-being. So right now, it's like, you know what? I'm sorry. I can't deal with the emotional stuff you're putting me through. I have to focus on my life and my world and surround yourself with good friends, healthy activity, live a single life in a way without dating. Okay, but live a single life that way, enjoying things and starting to continue to get yourself healthy. Make sure that you're in your session with a counselor, that you're doing your work, 'cause that's very important. You need to continue to grieve, and then you just leave him here. And what you hope will happen is that at some point, maybe he sees and says, "Oh my gosh, look at her. She's thriving here, thriving. I want that." And that he comes your way and walks with you. It doesn't sound like that will happen, but at least you're on a pathway where you are focused on you and what's good for you and what's healthy for you. That's what it would look like.
Yeah, and Dr. Eddie just mentioned we have support groups for betrayed partners. There's one at 12:30 today, Pacific time. And there's another one tomorrow morning. There are free groups, for support for betrayed partners, and those women are resilient. There's other resources. Please connect. If you don't have a qualified professional, reach out to me, Tammy, TAMI at seekingintegrity.com. Let me know where you're located, and I'll hopefully help you find somebody who can help support you with this. And we've done, so Debbie McCrae has done some really good webinars too, which are posted on sexandrelationshiphealing.com about healthy boundaries. What does that look like? So that could be useful for you too. Okay, next question. That's my life. Just words and actions never follow. I've even seen reminders in his phone, but he switches off the alarm when it pops up. He even said he doesn't want to commit to anything because he doesn't want to fail at them. Is this ever going to change? And I think it's the next person. Is this denial? I think that's part of the
Okay.
same
Okay,
thread.
well, if it ever gonna change, no, not if you're gonna sit there and set reminders on his phone. If you're gonna work harder than he's gonna work, nothing's ever gonna change. It's not. It's because again, what you have to do is again, what Tammy just said the magic word, boundaries. This is what I expect of you. And I expect nothing less than this. And if I do not get this behavior from you, then there will be these consequences that happen. But you're working harder than he is. You cannot be doing that. Ladies, you cannot sit there and try to micromanage the recovery. You need to see for yourself if he committed, if he not committed. And again, boundaries. This is what I will do. This is what I will not. This is what I'll deal with. This is what I won't deal with. And if you have a problem developing boundaries, again, sit with a therapist and create them. All right. You don't have to be in therapy for months and months at a time. You just go in and say, this is what I'm dealing with right now. I want to create boundaries. This is the situation. Help me do that. I would imagine in 4 or 5 sessions, you'd probably be able to have everything you need. So therefore, again, but no, it will not change if you continue to enable.
So I've got one better for you. We have a work group for betrayed partners starting in October. There's 6 sessions in level 1, 90 minutes per week. And part of that is about how do you create healthy boundaries, and you would be connected with other people. Angela Spearman does a great job. It's from a pro-dependent lens. So yeah, very, very disheartening, that he sets an alarm and then he turns it off, and I also hear, for him, I'm going to fail. So Troy loves work on it, like the voices of shame, is key to, until and unless he gets recovery. So that would be sex addiction 101. But otherwise, Eddie did the inner child work, the attachment wounds with Troy. All of those are great after, but the first step is you got to have a foundation of recovery to start with. But for you, healthy boundaries, the betrayed partner group would be a solid starting place.
And she added in, like you said later on, she said it's just denial. It's not denial, it's enabling. You're adding to it by doing this. And that's why I said you have to be hands off. He's the one who's responsible for his action. And he'll show you whether or not I care enough to do this or I don't. But
And
see,
I
that's the
think
problem.
but I think you showing that you care enough for you, like, I'm not a fan of the term enabling. I look at you value you enough to hold a healthy boundary. It isn't about what he does or doesn't do. You didn't cause anything
But
he did,
but
but
Tammy,
you going, I value myself enough to not,
but what would you
permit his.
what would you call that if they go in, they start setting up his reminders? That is enabling. She's trying
Oh,
to
I thought
make it.
he set up healthy. I thought he set
No,
up
she
healthy
set him
habits.
up. Right. So therefore that's not.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
no, no.
I
So
missed that. I
right,
missed that.
that's enabling in that.
Yeah,
Can't
well,
have
you aren't,
this.
yeah, he's not doing any of the work. So
No,
it
he's
comes
actually
down to the
going
same
in.
thing.
He's going in and he's
Yeah.
disabling them, saying, "I
Yeah.
don't want to be. I don't want to be told what to do, when to do it." So anyway,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. Rather than going, yeah, that's what the classic, oh, you're controlling my life,
Yeah.
rather than, oh gosh, I value this relationship. I really need to take some action. So,
Right.
but you know what? I had 3 guys this week who were like committing to, an expert consult. One was going to, come to treatment. And anyway, like they were, I really need help. We need to change things. And then they go, oh, wait,
Yeah.
and so I, I hear that it's like, oh, it's in a crisis right now, but then I changed my mind, and,
Mhm.
it's just, it's so sad. And I feel for the partners of these guys, because nothing's going to change, if they
I
don't
do
change.
too.
So.
And you'll go back to one other thing about this. When it comes to those kind of circumstances where the woman's working harder, the problem with what's at the core is fear. It's the fear that, you know what, I'm going to be alone.
Yeah.
You know
And that
what?
can be on both of their sides,
Right, it
like
could
on the,
be. It could be. But you know what? In some cases, I think sometimes it's better to be alone than be with someone who's just so insensitive and uncaring and shows no value and respect to you.
I'd
Again, I'm
rather
not
be
an app.
alone than alone in a relationship where
Yeah.
somebody is, I mean, if you're in a relationship, but there's no support, there's no
Mm.
partnership, you are alone, but I think in a worse
Yeah, I
way,
mean,
don't you?
yeah, definitely. I mean, again, I don't advocate the divorce. I don't want to put for divorce, but sometimes you have to look at it and say, you know what, again, if I'm going to continue working harder, it's not worth it.
So somebody made another comment. I like what you're saying about no days off. That was the exact subject in the essay book, The Real Connection, in this morning's reading. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay, good.
I think, for me, my addiction is waiting here at my shoulder. I can either engage in healthy, active recovery things, or I can, let the stinking thinking, as we talk about, happen. So,
Okay.
okay, if the betrayer is doing action, but the results cause headaches rather than blessings, is that about them and inward attentions?
That's really hard to answer, not knowing what the actions are and what the results are. I just don't have enough information here to give you the right answer. And I don't want to tell you, no, you be inwardly focused when I don't have. I mean, do you see something there, Tammy, that I'm not?
Well, I'm wondering
Yeah.
about, like, I think this could be a communication thing where you say, I see that you're taking actions, but this action isn't quite what I'm looking for. Would you consider this action? Because that
Mm,
would be more helpful. So I wonder if there's a way to communicate, kind of like, yay, you're doing some action, but this would be how it would be more useful for my healing, for our relationship, for help with the family, whatever it is. So I'm wondering if you could be brave and vulnerable and communicate, what you're looking for.
yeah.
Maybe
I,
not in the moment when things are happening. So
all right, but I think you hit the nail on the head. I think what's happening here with this is that expectations are up. So he's doing action, but to those who've been betrayed, the person who's been betrayed, it's not a blessing, it's a headache. So therefore,
yeah,
whatever action he's taking, he's not understanding exactly what is her expectation. So Anyway, I think Tammy has a great solution there. Go there and talk it through.
Yeah, but at least there's action. I mean, it may not be, the 100%, great. But okay, so where is the line between keeping your word and unforeseen things coming up that cause plans to change? You
Oh,
talked about it earlier.
Jay, that's so simple. You communicate it. You go there, something just came up, something changed, you immediately, hey, just want to let you know, I promised we were going to do this tonight. However, this had come up. I really need to handle this situation. Do you mind if we put it off till tomorrow? Again, that constant communication versus you just jump into your other plans and you leave that hanging. That's all. That's the way you handle it. Good question. Good
So
question.
yeah, it is. And it's just again, communication. Okay. Doesn't he get into shame as well when I walk away and tell him how disappointed I am?
Nope. He should not get in shame. What he should get is a sense of, ooh, feeling like, I messed up. But that doesn't have to take him to shame. Okay. I mean, shame, remember what shame is? Shame is that, ooh, there's something wrong with me. What you're saying is there's something that was wrong, that something you did or did not do is wrong. And that's where he should go. So no, he should not go to shame. And if he's still getting there, and again, that's one of the things I really work with the guys to try to keep them out of that shame cycle, then he needs to do work on that.
Yes. Yes, because shame is a useless emotion. So guilt can be motivating. But okay, any tips on how to ingrain all these lessons into our daily routine?
Frank, I know you're throwing this stuff at me just Frank, there's so much stuff to it. All right, how do we ingrain all of these lessons into our daily routine? First and foremost, we map out what it is that I'm trying to accomplish, right? So therefore, let's go back to the blind spot. There's 7 of them that I need to work on. I understand these are my 7 that I have. Okay, what are the antidotes that I'm working on? I have all of this information. And remember what I said to you before? What I've told everybody here. We have to prepare before we go into the trenches. You can't just wait till you get into whatever out there, and then how do I react? You have to prepare beforehand. And that's what we do with our daily routines, that we sit there and we realize, remember, when we talk about the daily routine of things, you may wake up one day and say, you know what, I really want to work on making sure that I am completely transparent with everything. That's like, for example, I felt like 2 days ago, I did a little exaggerating. I don't want to exaggerate. And that's what I'm going to work on today. So it doesn't have to be, I have this long list of things I have to work on. It's just, what am I going to do today?
Yeah, and you're exactly right, because otherwise it's overwhelming. And guess what? Addicts don't do anything. So just pick one thing, and I promise you, the next thing that you need to work on will be revealed. So you start
Right.
working on one, and then the next one's going to pop up. So
Mm-hmm.
okay. How important is it to keep boundaries in place? Not because I feel like I'm on a leash, but I want to provide accountability and security for my wife. Notifications of location, not carrying debit cards, access to work schedule, passwords, all of that. So,
Yeah, okay. So at the beginning, we may see a lot more of the boundaries that are in place. And if only through your actions that you are showing, again, through your emotional development, that you start to become more comfortable, that you start to let some of the boundaries expand. It says, all right, you know what? Going to give you your debit card back. The idea of passwords on all accounts, the idea of notification of location, what's wrong with that? Well, I don't see what's wrong with that for any couple to have it. Why shouldn't I be able to get into your account if I want to? I mean, my wife and I, we can get into each other's account. I don't know if we do. I know I don't go into hers. But if she wants to go into mine, she's more than welcome to go into mine. If you have nothing to hide, there's nothing to worry about. Remaining off of social media, again, that's all dependent on, again, what were you struggling with in the past? And maybe, you know what, putting yourself back there is never going to be a good thing. Okay, it's never a good thing. So therefore, you know what, I'm not gonna deal with social media. And let me tell you something, you're not missing anything. Really not. But so again, there's some things you have to look at to be able to say, what is good for me, what is not good for me. Giving the password, giving your location, that's good because one, it shows I am totally transparent. Remaining off of social media could be a good thing because you know what? I don't have to deal with there. Plus, I have more time to be able to do more productive things in my life. So, but again, we don't want the thing that always bothered me or concerned me is we if we lock a guy down, how do I know if he really is, you know, sober or not, or if he just white knuckling it because he doesn't have any access. So at some point, we're going to have to bring some of those things back. But again, I would also hope that you as an individual realize there are certain things I don't need back in my life. I just don't need them. And that's growth. That's real growth.
Yeah, well, and the being on a leash, that implies control and everything else. And I look at it as what's good for my relationship. And it's the same thing. I'm sure I have the password to my husband's stuff. I don't need to go into it, but I'm pretty sure I can figure out if I wanted
Yeah,
to.
right.
Communicating, I'm running a little bit late, or I'm going to do this, or I'm like, that's just communication. Like, why would we not want to be connected? Why would I want to live in my own little bubble? That's lonely. So, okay. Eddie, you mentioned that betrayed needs to understand it takes time to become emotionally developed. What time frame is reasonable? Been sober 3.5 years and it's been pretty solid, but the complaint concern is that we are in our 4th year of this and I'm still getting caught in small lies, inward intentions, and bad days in terms of emotionally being available. I fear she is running out of patience, and maybe that is what my addiction wants,
Right.
self-sabotage.
Okay. So my belief is once somebody starts to work on their emotional development, again, you could be sober 3.5 years, but that doesn't mean you've worked on becoming an emotionally developed man. Once you start that process, it takes about 2 years for it all to start to click. That it just all starts to, that doesn't mean we don't see progress. I mean, I think after 3 months, couple months, you're starting to see some progress. You know what you need to be doing, especially when it comes to the idea of being honest and transparent. But that's what it takes. It takes about 2 years. But then again, this is not okay, 2 years, I'm done. Becoming emotionally developed is a lifelong process. And that's why I went back before, that sometimes we're just not going to get it right. And all we should be doing is pointing it out to say, that hurt me, that disappointed me. I expected more from you. So,
Well, and I still get caught in small lies, and I'm
yeah,
like, that's one of those, like, as part of our recovery, we look, identify those, and rather than getting caught, you say, what, I told you that 5 minutes ago, that wasn't the complete truth, and
yeah,
own it. Then it isn't getting caught. Like, that's how you start to show that you are emotionally maturing. You
right.
won't do it 100%, but man, like, I can't imagine how frustrated you can understand your partner being frustrated that still catching you in the lies rather than you owning up to them.
Yeah, because then it's like, okay, what else? What do I not know that you
Exactly.
haven't told me?
Exactly. Okay. Comment. Your point is taken regarding partners shaming their essay. However, let's not forget most of the essays come into a relationship with low self-esteem and low self-confidence. Accompanying this may be hypersensitivity to criticism. And when this perceived criticism occurs, the response from the essay is often defensive. And then the train leaves the station and the conversation derails. It's complicated.
Correct. And that's why when we start to teach them how to be emotionally developed, we start to desensitize their we start to
Hypersensitivity
desensitize,
and
right, hypersensitivity to criticism. Thank you. That's what we're trying to do. Again, I feel it. I'm still somewhat hypersensitive to criticism. It is something I have to watch. I have to be cautious about. But I could, my wife said something. What do you mean by that? What, like, what are you getting all happy about? Like, yeah, you're right. I shouldn't. So again, it is an ongoing process. But no, Carla, I hear you. You're right. It is that is part of it. It is things that person has to work on. But he, in this case, just pointing out, you know what? Here you are. You're being hypersensitive. You're being defensive. So instead of the train leaves the station, I say you leave the room. You know what? I'm not engaging with this conversation anymore. When you come back to me, when you've settled down and you're not going to be feel criticized and you're not going to be hypersensitive, then we'll get back and we'll engage again. Because to stay, what's the point of staying? What's that gaining? Nothing. So that's why I bring that up. So good question. Take a good comment.
Yeah, and you're exactly right that if things are derailing, there's no point in continuing the conversation. So, okay. Wife of a PA here. My husband is brand new to recovering. What should my husband be avoiding during these beginning stages of recovery? For example, no movies. Oh my goodness. Please, please, please. We have a porn addiction 101 work group.
Yeah.
Him trying to figure this out, but like this is probably everything that would be triggering, but you figuring this out, he needs help. There's lots and lots of resources, but the porn addiction 101 would be fantastic. Sex addiction 101 starts October 1st. If there has been acting out, that would be a better fit, just saying. But there's groups, I mentioned earlier the betrayed partner group today, but there's a group for men tomorrow. There's another one on Friday, that will help,
Yes.
make some connections and learning.
Yeah, I mean, what we're looking for is abstinence. Okay, there's at least 90 days of full abstinence, which includes having sex with you. Okay, because what we're trying to do is we are trying to settle the brain back down. So no, there should be no movies with softcore porn. There should be no drawing naked people. There should be none of that activity. But what he's trying to do is he's trying to quiet the noise in his brain. So therefore, we have 90 days where we are going to just be completely off of anything and everything that's distracting us, including sex with the two of you. But after that, there's still, for quite a long period of time, no, he shouldn't be probably watching things that are soft porn, but he also needs to be in a support group that's going to walk him through the various steps of recovery that he can, and again, we have them right here for him, so that he can start to understand and learn on his own what are good behaviors and what are not good behaviors.
Well, and good and bad. It's just like what are helpful to your recovery journey and what aren't.
Right,
So
those two. Yep.
Okay. My husband just came back from a program. I asked him on Monday if he had any triggers. He replied, no. Something in 2 weeks that was unusual. I have more specific questions on Sunday. He was more specific, suddenly turned around and replied, yes, he had triggers. He has lied to me for 2 weeks of recovery. That sounds like 2 weeks of abstinence. Recovery is a journey. So we are now going into a 2-month therapeutic separation. I had a meltdown in our couples therapist's office. I am fed up with leading recovery while he gets to act out and lie. I am fed up. Any suggestions? Quit all couples therapy. I was triggered in our last session and walked out.
Well, he just came back from 2 weeks. I guess you've been a program.
Not our program.
No, but something.
So yeah,
You've some kind of program, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Okay, so is this something that's at the beginning stages of recovery or not? Because first and foremost, if it is, you shouldn't be in couples therapy anyway. That's not where you belong. You don't belong in that. You need to be doing his work so that, go back to what you said here, so that he can learn how not to act out and how not to lie. That's what has to happen. So he has to learn those tools. You have to understand why. Why am I doing this? And I believe that's the first step. And then also, okay, what do I do now that I can control my compulsive disorder? But I really do believe, again, yeah, you're going to get triggered sitting in couple session, especially if him and the therapist are going back and forth about things that what he does, what he doesn't do, what he triggered back. That's not the place for you to be right now, if that's what's going on. So yeah, I would just say start focusing on your work, let him focus on his work. Again, maybe give Tammy a call to see what kind of programs there are that can help with that.
Wow, we're close. You have time
I
for two
know.
more?
I got, yeah, real fast.
Okay. When I discovered my husband was a sex addict, I tried the best I could to support his recovery despite pain and shock I was in. Within 2 weeks of discovery, he filed a false restraining order, and my children and I had 15 minutes to leave the house. I'm struggling with betrayal and cruelty. Is this something more than sex addiction?
Oh, yes.
Narcissistic personality? Yeah,
This
please.
is
Yeah,
not, this is not, it's much more than
this is
sex
not sex
addiction.
addiction.
It's
Yeah.
not about shame. Okay, there is some sort of personality disorder that's here. To be able to go and
Mhm.
file something like that. So you're in, I guess it's been 8 months and we are divorced and you're in a lot of pain. You need to go and talk to someone so that you can grieve what he did to you and to your children. I think it's the best thing for you right now, because you don't want those lies that you said he told the court to continue to haunt you. You need to be able to deal with them, process them, and then put him out of your life, with the exception of him dealing with your kids. But you put him out of your life forever and start a new path for yourself.
Good morning. Thank you for sharing your leadership in this area of recovery. I recently reached out to a female via text and phone call, and I wasn't honest with my domestic partner about it.
No, that's not a good thing. I don't need to tell you that. Juan, what you need to do, if you haven't done it, go and tell her. If she found out about it, okay, then we need to put some kind of blocker. We need to get something that she gets every text you and phone call that you get. She receives it. But also, what is the work you're doing with a counselor? I know I sound like a broken record today, but this is important, to be able to help you understand, why are you doing this? Why are you continuing to act out, knowing the pain that is causing her? And once you have that answer, that's going to be able to help you to put together a recovery program that you really need. So
The Sex Addiction 101 work group, I sound like a broken record too, starts on October 1st. So on Seeking Integrity, $350, 6 weeks. That you'll have a plan, a 3-circle plan. You will go, oh, I'm in my middle circle. What do I need to do? Rather than I'm going to start texting females. So
yes, right. So,
okay. Thank you, Dr. Eddie.
Yes,
Great to see you. Thanks, everybody. Great questions.
Yeah, I
Appreciate it.
appreciate you guys being here. There were a lot of great questions. And again,
Yeah.
it's both of us, okay? Both of you have a role to play. All right. One doesn't play a heavier role than the other. Okay. Especially for those of you who have been betrayed. Do not work harder than him. Do not save yourself that anguish. And again, if it's the fear of being alone or whatever, go talk to somebody about how to deal with it. Okay.
Work hard on nurturing yourself, taking care of you. That's what I'm going to encourage you. Work hard on self-care and finding support for you, not him.
Perfect.
So, okay.
Love it.
Thanks, everybody.
See you guys in October.